Hi everybody, Diana here from Hugging Munnin. I've got this beautiful photograph of a rose that I'm using as a reference. I'm not planning on copying it exactly, but I'm going to use the photograph to keep me right. I am going to be drawing in pencil, and the pencil that I'm using mostly is a 3B by Reeves, and I am also using a 6B Derwent Graphic, and I'm on Canston multimedia paper, which is nice and smooth, lets me get lots of control over the pencil. So starting with a completely blank bit of paper, I am putting down my first marks with my reference right beside me. And as usual, I start at the left hand side, usually top left, and typically I come down and I am keeping my left finger on the photograph now and again, not so that I'm pointing at things for you viewers, but actually just kind of making sure that I don't lose track of which petal I'm working on. This rose has got about 20 petals that are sort of visible, and it can get a little bit confusing sometimes when you're inside a painting. So I am putting down quite a light pencil touch. Around some of those left hand, top left petals, and where I think there needs to be a dark patch, the heaviness of the line will change. So you can see there I've got some dark spots, and from there I will start to generate a dark area. Some of the outer lines are edging some petals that are very white at their edge. So what I try to do is to keep that pencil line very light, and sometimes that's fine and that works. Other times I'll put the pencil line in and then rub it out so that I've got a faint line. So you can see now I've started to do some of the shadow in those first petals. There's no real mystery about which petal to do first, because they all need to be done. And these early shading, shaded patches, I would expect to have to come back to them later on in the exercise as I balance my shades. And this is a tiny bit of rubber that I've cut with scissors off of my main rubber, and the reason I've done that is that quite often I need almost like a knife edge rubber to get into some of these intricate corners. So for each petal, there's nearly always 2 shades, and if a petal is folded over or something like that, then you can certainly end up with extra dimensions. This first petal is relatively straightforward. It's got that little kinkle on the side, but apart from that, it's relatively straightforward. So it's good to get that one as the first one. And I'm also intrigued by how dark it is, and how dark and black it is inside at the base of the petals. So here again, very dark, and I will no doubt have to come back to these dark areas, because no matter how dark I'm making it at the moment, it'll have to get a bit more put onto it. And you can see I'm quite heavy with the dark, and then as I move the pencil away, I'm getting lighter. I'm working in a circular kind of oval approach with my pencil, and that helps to avoid pencil marks, pencil lines, and gives me a more blended appearance. So that's the inside of that petal, and I'll just go into the edge of it and giving it a little bit of darkness, and around that edge. And basically the challenge is to try and get this to look three-dimensional by leaving it as light as it should be in the right places. Most of the time I'm holding my pencil quite far back, and to get a smooth shading, the pencil works well when it's a bit blunt, and once I've started a little bit of shading, I'll keep the pencil in the same position because it'll have a blunt side down. Then I can lighten. All about pressure, really. Heavy pressure when it's dark, and then gradually lift it off. And again, using this circular oval, sort of a roundy kind of approach. The other thing that people might try, I tend not to do this, but doing flowers is quite good. subject for pencil work that lends itself to using your fingers. So this petal, for example, I could take my finger and rub and smooth those pencil lines, and that would get a nice effect. I'm not feeling that I need to do it, but it's a good thing to try and to experiment with as you're learning. So you're already seeing that this petal is getting a lot more time on it, and it's simply because it's so dark, it's needing that time and building it up, getting it the right tone. You can now see in the picture how dark it is compared to the top one. I'll get a little bit of the next petal in now. Sometimes it's uncomfortable to work in one particular way, so it's sometimes appropriate to change the position of the paper. So again, very light marks that are barely visible on the screen, but I can see them, and they're just outlining this next big petal at the bottom. And again, large amount of dark shadow. And as we get into the middle of the rose, the petals get quite complicated and need to be kept track of which ones are being done. So it's quite a good idea to do a petal and stay with it till you've completed it. I have in the past maybe not done that, and then I lose track and end up either putting extra petals in by mistake or missing something out. So you can see that I'm moving on with the sketching of petals. Doing what I need to do. Make sure we don't get lost. This kind of sketching needs continual referral to the reference. My eyes are continually back and forth. Indeed, sometimes I can feel myself drawing whilst looking at the reference, continually checking. And as soon as something looks as if it's too wrong, it needs to be rubbed out. And I say too wrong because when you're doing flowers, there is an argument that it should be anatomically correct. But if a petal is a different shape from your reference, or it's got a texture on it, or colour that's not particularly obvious, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. And when we go to think about designing something based on this kind of reference, we will be making it very different from the reality, from the real picture. So we want to be anatomically correct because we want people to recognise this as a rose, but that's about it. So don't be scared to make a little bit of a detour from the reference. So now you've got a hang of the technique that I'm using. Gonna continue doing each petal and join you again when it's a little bit further on, when you'll get to see the finished article. Remember to subscribe and all that jazz. Have a look at other videos from me. If you want to get in touch about a commission or a project, or you want to ask me a question or give me some feedback, then I welcome that. And hope you've enjoyed it, and continue to tune in. So you can see in the final stages, got the stem on, some leaves, and all the petals have had some attention. The final stages are important now to step back, have a good look at it, maybe let other people see it, check to see whether there's any errors. And it's a lovely bit of the process just tidying up. Very likely to have some smudges on your paper, some smudges maybe actually on the drawing that you don't want. And then I'm just using the rubber to make sure my white areas are as white as they should be. So thanks again for joining me. Remember to subscribe, remember to get in touch, and bye for now.